I just woke up. It's 4 a.m. You know me and my late nights, or early risings, I guess I should say. So let's jump into this. I've really been wanting to go live about this. There is a woman that I have been talking to or have talked to, um, and I expect to have a full conversation with her tomorrow. And I will today actually. Um, and I'll probably be going live about that as well. First and foremost, these charges with Jared Leisek are shocking. Hey, Colleen, but they're not. And the reason that they're not is because these rumors have been around for some time. They are not. They are not new rumors. Um, I feel a bit foolish because I praise the hell out of AWP for finding Kylie Rodney. If you watch my videos on Kylie Rodney, I praise them up and down for doing that. So I knew in the back of my mind that there were these rumors about Jared, but again, they were just rumors at that point. Now we are stepping into the legal arena because there is an indictment that I'm sure you guys know about. He hasn't been indicted on 2 counts of, let me just pull up this indictment, rape of a child, first degree felony, and rape of a child, again, first degree felony. So these are two separate offenses. The first one, October 1st, 1992. The second one, January 1st of 1992. So from what I understand, these charges are being brought by his cousin. Now, his sister has been very outspoken. I was looking at her Facebook yesterday, and I love her energy. I have to say that. She is exactly exactly the kind of person that you want helping a victim, even though she herself is a victim of his as well, allegedly. I have to say allegedly. Please don't come for me for that. But you guys know how this works. He has not been convicted yet. So for now, it is allegedly. Um, Something that I really wanted to talk about: the Mormon Church, Mormonism, once again, popping up in another case. Unsurprisingly, sexual assault of children is prevalent in that religion. It's prevalent in a lot of religions, but for this case, we're going to specifically talk about Mormonism. In the email that Jared and his cousin had, that allegedly all of AWP has seen, which is just, that shocks me, because before I saw the emails, I thought to myself, what is Doug going to do? What is Nick going to do? Are they going to sink on this ship? Or are they going to break away and continue to try to help with missing persons? But after, seeing that they all knew, and then I go to AWP's page today, and there's nothing. They actually had the audacity to release another video without saying anything about this indictment. These are two charges of rape of a child. And there's nothing from them. They're not saying anything. They're not addressing it in any way. And it's just sort of like, are you guys just trying to sweep this under the rug? Like this isn't happening? What is going on here? Now, again, in those emails, he tells his cousin, who confronts him head on about his abuse of her, that, him and a lot of the cousins have gotten together and they've worked through this, and sort of basically sort of saying that this happened to him as well. Whether it did or not, I do not know. What I do know, again, is that child sexual abuse in the Mormon church is rampant, extremely rampant. In other cases, where I've talked to Mormons, or ex-Mormons, the physical violence and the sexual violence they're so prevalent that it's almost like commonplace. And when I saw in those emails with Jared and his cousin, him saying, "Your mother forgave me. She hugged me." It sort of made my stomach drop, because it reminded me of another victim who was raised Mormon, who's no longer Mormon, but was raised Mormon. This person was molested from the age of 5 to the age of 12. This person told their mother, and you know what their mother did? Nothing. She did nothing. So from the age of 5 to the age of 12, this person was molested. And the mother said nothing. And the person said, because I told my mom, and she just acted like it was normal. She was like, I didn't know that what was really happening to me was really wrong. Even though in her gut she knew it was wrong, but her mother was acting like it wasn't. So it happened, and it continued to happen. When this person turned 12 years old, she was, being molested by a cousin, as she had been for the past 7 years. The mother walks into the room, sees this happening, and says, "Oh my God, what are you guys doing?" She acted like what was happening was consensual between these two people, and it was not. She was aware that her daughter had been being sexually assaulted from the age of 5. So, Mormon women you see a common pattern, a common theme with them, where they are very subservient. Um, Abuse and sexual abuse is hush hush. You don't just throw that out there into the world, and they often overlook it. They will shun you, basically. What I watched an interview with the cousin and the sister, and when they said, that they were basically the black sheeps of the family, was not surprised. I was not surprised at all, because this is kind of what happens. Rainy Days is saying Doug from AWP has just made a statement on his channel. Really, Rainy Days. It's about time. Let's go and look at that and read that real quick. I have not seen that. Hang on. Just want to pull this up real quick. Rainy Days. What is Doug's channel? Doug has his own channel? I'm not seeing anything on AWP's page. Hang on. Oh. Oh, did he speak out on No Thanks? Hmm. So yeah, I haven't watched that. Let's see. I'm just Google. Oh, here it goes. So he made a statement.
You know, I have become the voice of our purpose. You know, what we have all come together to do. And now what has happened 30 years ago has come to light, and it's being affecting everybody involved with this. There are contracts in place. There's legal ramifications. I mean, you know, with me even speaking my opinion. But in this scenario, I got to keep it real to everybody who loved Adventures with Purpose, who loves Adventures with Purpose, who loves what we were able to accomplish in this world. We've proven that what we have done works, it's effective, it's a need for it. You know, we tell people stories. We are the voice for the voiceless. When we are covering these people's stories and going into their homes and representing them and telling their story of their missing loved ones, um, that's what it is we do. Do nothing else, you know? And I'm not just speaking for me, because I'm not the only one that's involved in this. There are other people's lives who are affected by this, you know? And that's what this is about. And being real is all you can be. That's all you got in this world is what you stand for and how you come up. Yeah, you know, done a lot of good in this world, and everybody's got a story to tell. Everyone, absolutely everybody has a story to tell. You know, where I come from, though, there's codes. Where I go from here, you know, I have a lot of support, and I love everybody who's reaching out and just telling me and letting me know that I have your support, that you stand with me, and my future is just going to go with being real. You know, I'll continue to follow the passion that I've developed with helping people, with, you know, telling somebody's story. You know, I come from the towing industry, and now I pull cars out underwater, helping families get answers. I've developed that passion. It's unfortunate that I've developed that passion, and this has happened. It doesn't align with what I believe in. I have daughters. I'm a father, and I come from a real rough background, and I've changed my life. I've become a really good man, and I've always followed the code, and that code has been violated. With that being said, you know, there's a lot of legal things that have to play out, and they got to play out, you know. But it doesn't involve me. It doesn't involve my name. It doesn't involve anybody else's name that's been associated with it, you know, because we've worked with a lot of people intimately, and there's a lot of people that are hurting right now. I'm just as heartbroken. I care a lot about what it is that I've been able to do. And where this goes, I don't know. I don't know where this goes. My future's bright. I'll always be okay. My family's gonna be okay. And I kept it real, you know. Um, I can't wait for lawyers to make decisions. I have to defend my family. I have to defend myself. And unfortunately, you know, that doesn't align with my future. It doesn't align with me at all. None of us. You know what I mean? None of us knew any of this. And I am just as shocked as everybody else. Um, it's really unfortunate and heartbreaking. Yeah, man. People that know me, you guys know I'm a survivor. And, you know, I got nothing to hide. I'm not going to hide nothing. It's what it is. Um, be positive, you know, moving forward. You know, there's people out there that have a story to tell. There's victims out there that have a story to tell. And I have been a voice for those victims. I'm going to continue to follow that passion. And I know I have the support to do so. I'm respected in a lot of circles with agencies. And those who know me. And those of you who don't know me, get to know me. The future's going to be great. But it won't be what it used to be. You know, we all got to move forward, whatever that means. I don't know.
What is he going to speak about the victims that Jared had? I mean, I don't know. How did you guys feel about that? How did you guys feel about his statement? I didn't like it. Sorry. I just, he seemed to focus a lot on himself, on AWP, sort of like, we help all these people and there's all this stuff. He did say it didn't align with his values or whatever because he has a daughter, which I was wondering about because he mentioned that in the Kylie Rodney thing. I have a 16-year-old daughter myself, so I was wondering that. But he's talking about all these victims. Are you going to talk about Jared's victims or alleged victims? Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how I felt about that. He just seemed more concerned about himself and where he was going to go in life or, after this. And then this is kind of in stark contrast with what those emails said. Jared saying that everyone in the office knew. Yeah, I can't see that. No way. Didn't sound sincere enough. Yeah, it just sounded really self-serving. Sorry, Doug. It just did. It sounded really self-serving. I'm gonna worry about myself. I have a lot of support. This doesn't have to do with me. I didn't know. Um, you know, I don't know. I just didn't really care for that too much. Um, he doesn't really condemn Jared in any way. It seems like more of a pity party for himself. Like, wah, AWP isn't going to be anymore, but we all going to move forward. I just didn't hear like a full acknowledgement of the situation at hand and any kind of, he talks about victims, which I guess, victims that they have rescued, but he doesn't talk about Jared's alleged victims. True crime. Hey, Glory. Hi, I woke up and made a bit to eat. Good. No way. I agree. Very self-serving. Yeah. Did it sound like that, or is it just me? Because it sounded very much like that. I didn't really care for that. Hopefully, I mean, I guess I would have to put myself in these people's shoes of how would I handle this. But okay, let me see how I'm gonna say this. There was an incident with people that I am close to. In the last year or so. And it involved um, sexual assault of a minor. I was the one, of course, that said I stand with the survivor, and no one else did. No one else did, and I was crazy sad for this young person. Um, and my hands were really tied in what I could do. I did what I could, but you know, again, kids, one in four, one in four are molested, and typically it takes four adults. Four adults. Think about that. Typically, it takes four adults for a child to tell what has happened to them before they're even believed or even listened to. And sometimes, even when they are believed, they're still shut down for the betterment of the family. Um, Rainy days. Perhaps he's been advised by the lawyers not to say too much. But that's a potential for sure, Rainy. Repo guy. How are you? Let's see. Personally, I am glad he made this statement. Queen of Hearts. I think that he was just separating himself, letting us know he does not want anything to do with Jared. It is not his place to be judge and jury, I guess. Yes, yeah, you're correct. Repo guy. So I would say that that's why that Doug didn't say too much about Jared's victims. He made it known to us men who know about that code. He's disgusted by it. You guys aren't the only one that know about the code, Repo. We know about the code. The code is you don't touch children like that. And if you do, you're out. Okay. And sometimes out, not in a really good way, especially if you go to prison for it. So, Repo Guy is saying Doug is worried about how to keep his mission alive at this point. Yeah, that he made that very clear. But yeah, I just another thing I want to touch on. People, I don't know. People seem to have a warped opinion. Like I didn't really care for at the very beginning of his statement where he said, something that happened 30 years ago. When you say things like that, it minimizes it because for 30 years, those women and whoever the other victims are that haven't come forward yet have held that inside for 30 years. Okay. So while Jared's moving on with his life and, doing whatever he's doing, these people were trying to repair what was severely broken by him. So I don't like the minimizing of that. Whether it was 30 years, 50 years, 3 years, it doesn't matter. A crime is a crime is a crime. Sexual assault is sexual assault. There is no getting around that. And what Jared said, was that he, in those emails, he said that like he was 12. He wasn't 12. If you do the math, he was like 16, 17 years old. Allegedly molesting a 9, 10-year-old. You absolutely know that he knew that this was wrong. And for people that say, oh, well, he changed his life. Pedophiles do not change. Okay. There is no cure for that at all. None. Unless it's a child. When I say child, I mean, a 10, 11-year-old, something like that. If they start exhibiting inappropriate sexual behavior towards other children, with intensive therapy, it can be turned around. But once someone is an adult and they're committing these sorts of crimes, that is their preference. That is who they are. That will not be changed. I will not be surprised if there are quite a few more victims that come out. I will not be surprised at all. People like this they don't stop. They don't change. A child doesn't turn their life around. This isn't somebody that, when you're talking about a child sex offender, you're not talking about somebody that, used to steal and then they turn their life around and, now they don't ever do that. And they're just a better person. This is a part of his character. This is who he is. And for people that say stuff like that, I'm going to point you in the direction of Josh Duggar. Josh Duggar, very religious family, molested his sisters. And I believe, I'm not sure if it was a cousin or if it was a babysitter, something like that. But he definitely molested his sisters. And his family, instead of having him arrested and putting him into therapy and doing, all of the things they needed to do because of their religion and what their religion dictated, they sent him away to like this little camp. It wasn't really a camp. It was just somebody else's house that he did like hard labor for 6 months. And then he comes back. You want to fast forward to present day. Josh was a teenager when he did that. Now, as a 30-something-year-old man with I don't know, 7 children, I think at this point, 6 or 7 children. He's now in jail for 25 years for child pornography. So again, these people they don't change. Okay. And don't be surprised when you see more victims or if you see more victims, because it takes a ton of courage for people to come out and say this kind of stuff. Number one, it's humiliating. It's embarrassing. And when your own family rejects you, when they reject your claims or they brush them under the carpet, you feel like you have to stay silent. Then you have a person like Jared in a position of power. And I say he's in a position of power because he is. He has a channel with over 2 million subscribers, people that absolutely adore AWP for the missing persons they have found. But just because you have done good deeds in your life, it certainly does not erase the really, really evil deeds you've done as well. And there's prices to pay for that. Just like, okay, I'll stop there. Let's read some comments. Yes, Colleen. She's been 30 years trying to heal. Exactly. Queen of Hearts. What he does is his passion. He can't give up his passion just because of Jared. Upchurch wants a refund. I don't even want to talk about Upchurch, quite frankly. I don't know how I feel about that. I love Upchurch. What do y'all think? I would rather not even talk about Upchurch. After the Kylie Rodney stuff, that was just an entire mess. And I just, yeah, that was completely crazy. So I've seen a lot of conspiracy theories in true crime, but that was next level. So, Upchurch trying to upstage the victims here, please. We're focused on these women, this indictment. If he wants a refund, I'm sure he can reach out to Jared and tell him so. Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine, Queen of Hearts. You're fine. I just, the Upchurch is not a subject that I really care for. I used to really like that guy a lot too. until that craziness he started and the Kylie Rodney case. Even some of the worst YouTubers, I don't even think touched the level that he did with that. But anyway, Utah lifted their statute of limitation when it comes to sex crimes in 2017, I believe. It begs the question of why. Maybe Glory would be better to answer this question, but with sexual assault being so prevalent in the Mormon church within LDS culture, so to speak, I have to wonder, is that why Utah lifted these statute of limitations? Because a lot of times it takes a long time. It takes a very, very long time. It was 2013. I thought it was 17. Okay, you would know better, Glory. You would know better. I will accept that because you are literally true crime Utah. So, but yeah, I wonder if that's why, because it takes so long. I was touched at the age of 14 by a 30-something-year-old man. I'm not Mormon, but I was, and I knew it was wrong. Knew it was wrong what this person did. But at 14, you're kind of, I remember being like, I went stiff, you know? Um, okay, here we go. Hey, Glory.
Hi, I thought I'd give you a rundown on how the statute of limitations got changed. Years ago, my old school chum's daughter and two daughters were sitting out waiting for the bus, and some guy in a pickup truck stopped and he grabbed the older of the two girls.
Hmm.
And the younger girl went screaming for help, and they had a vehicle description, and I guess they got an Amber Alert out and freaked out the guy, and he released her unharmed in a park about 4 miles away. And that they had him identified, and it turned out that he had another victim who wasn't so fortunate, and it was past the statute of limitations. And so she took it as a personal mission to get the statute of limitations abolished. And it took her a few years, but she finally did get it done. So it was one victim's quest to see that other victims didn't have the same issues that she had once her victim was identified.
Yeah, with Jessica, which is Jared's sister. Like I said, I was going through her Facebook, and she seems a very, very strong person. And I would love to speak to her. Women like her are extremely important, um, because they don't back down. And they are. This is like, you know this is like the little tiny person against Goliath. It really is. Um, they're definitely going to have money to fight with them in court over this, and it just takes a really courageous person or people to do what they're doing, in my opinion. So
Anyway, this wasn't due to any religious things. It was just a child victim who wanted justice for other victims, and it kind of has been interesting. I run into my friend every now and again, and turns out my niece is actually friends with, I'm not sure if the older sister or the younger sister. And I was rather surprised when I saw the last name creep up as on one of her friends, because it's a rather unusual last name. So, lo and behold.
yeah, well, I mean, as far as this case goes, you obviously are more, I think, familiar with the Mormon Church up close and personal than I am, but I know quite a bit, just dealing with people that were in the Mormon Church and stuff like that. Um, Sexual assault does seem very, very prevalent within that religion.
I don't know that it's really that much different than it is in other religions. It's just more talked about because it's taboo. I think that it happens all the time in Catholic Church.
Yeah, I agree.
And nobody thinks twice of it, and when it's some other religion.
Oh no, I do for sure, and definitely the Catholic Church has been sued. We know that.
But yeah, I mean,
And so is the Mormon Church. I was looking that up today, of how many settlements they've had to hand out. It's been quite a few.
Well, anyway, I really think that it's not more than it is in other sects. It's just because it's so taboo that it brings more attention to what happens. So that's my take on it, because there's victims out there all over the place.
Yeah, well, I mean, in most religions, it's like a patriarchal thing. The guys kind of are. It's kind of goes God, then the man, then the woman, then the children. It's like a ladder. So most religions, the men sort of kind of run things. And Mormons are no different. But I don't know. There seems to be, I know a lot of Catholics, a lot of them actually, but personally, I know them. Um, and there always is that air of secrecy. But with Mormons, it seems even more so. And it seems that, Mormons are like really, really nice people. They're just nice people. They're like genuinely nice. So they are. They're just like the nicest people.
Sometimes they have a view of being too nice, and it kind of drives some people
Yeah.
crazy because they can't believe that people are so nice and so forgiving and wanting the person who's oppressing them to become a better person and so forth, instead of just kind of hating them for doing these outrageous things to them again and again and again.
Well, but I think that passive way sort of opens the door for this kind of stuff to happen, because if you know that you do, that if you do this sort of thing, you're going to be forgiven for it, because that's kind of the way, we forgive you. um and I don't think that with Jared, uh the mother of the victim forgiving him, well, it wasn't her forgiveness to give.
Well, she can forgive him because of what her place in it, but for her experience as the mother of the victim, but it's not her place to forgive on
Yeah.
behalf of the victim.
Right.
She can only forgive for how it impacted her personally. She can't forgive on behalf of anyone else. Now, um, yeah, there is a great pressure, kind of societally to forgive people, and it's kind of not necessarily even very sincere in my opinion. I've got a friend whose father was hit by a person texting and driving, and the family immediately said, "Oh, we forgive you," and they sent her flowers and so forth. And my friend was just appalled and going, "Look, I don't forgive her. She did a terrible thing. She was
Right.
negligent, and our father died as a result."
Yeah,
Yeah,
some people, really believe in forgiveness for themselves. They feel like they need to do that to move on. And then you have other people that say, no, you're not worthy of forgiveness. So I'm not going to give it. I'm going to move on anyway. Um,
process, and you just to say, right off the bat, "Oh, we forgive you," that's not really experiencing the depth of the emotion of what actually happened. I mean,
right.
to to go, "Gee, I'm really sad about what happened. I'm angry about what happened," and so forth, and then at some point to go, "Okay, I understand, and I can see that you changed your life and so forth, and so I can move on from it now."
Yeah,
And
well, that's
that
the thing. You and I were even talking about this off air, that, pedophiles they don't change. There is no changing their life, because this is their preference. Hi, Tamara. Good morning to you, love. And Queen, please don't be sorry. You are not sharing too much. In fact, people sharing their stories is what needs to really happen. Um, but yeah, pedophiles don't change. They often become, pillars of the community. Anything that they can do to get closer to potential victims, they will do. This is why you see a lot of pedophiles that will try to work in school districts or at daycares, or be a sports coach, things like that. Anything to get them closer to their targets. So, the whole "I changed my life," that's that doesn't really apply here. You know, there just is no changing that sexual preference that has been with this person all of their life. And that's why I say, will not surprise me if there are more victims of Jared that come forward. And I think his cousin even alluded to that there are more people that just haven't spoke. Hi, Sun Beach. Yes, I haven't seen you in ages either, but it's good to see you, love.
I'd like to see what the evidence is, because it's a little different if he's going after younger kid. He's 17. It's another thing if,
and she was about 9 or 10.
Yeah, but I mean, it's another thing, because he's still quite young at that point. Is it something he outgrew, or is this a lifelong pattern? And I know.
Well, at that's what I'm saying to you. At that age, it's most likely a lifelong pattern.
Yeah,
17 years old and a 9 or 10-year-old, very, very likely that he continued that pattern. And you look at his sister's Facebook, something that she said was that, I may have been your first victim, but I was far from your last.
I want to see, the full scope of the evidence, see what post-offense behavior there is, because, if there is any mitigating circumstances, to indicate that it didn't continue. Yes, how he treated her online or in the emails is deplorable.
It was absolutely deplorable when he suggested another victim of his to help her through this. I kind of was floored, when I read those emails. I was like, is this real life? So you're actually recommending to her another one of your victims to go and help you get through this victimization that you did of her. It's just it's kind of crazy. That's just like re-victimizing someone all over again. Like, hey, get over it. Oh, and by the way, here's another victim of mine. They did a good job in getting over it. So why don't you reach out to them and let them tell you how they got through it. They'll help you. I mean, I was just kind of like mouth open, like, you got to be kidding me here.
Yeah. Will is his daughter, and she sucked it up. She'd be like my daughter. Sucked it up.
Yeah, and that's I know that he has 3 daughters, 2 of them with his wife, and then another that he had with a person in high school. That's, I guess he described it as a fling, that he had a fling, and he had another daughter, but he's not a part of that daughter's life. She didn't want him at her graduation, her wedding, anything like that, which he doesn't really go into too much detail as to why that is. But this,
that kind of makes you wonder if there's more to it than what he's, telling, facade management.
Yeah, well, when this broke, his daughters were the first people that I thought about. I was like, are they okay? Did anything happen? I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much on that because they're not really, they're not in the spotlight with this. But I would certainly hope that they weren't, because most victims, their perpetrators are known to them. I think only like 10% of children that are assaulted, it's by an outside stranger. It's usually by someone they know, a family member, a family friend, things like that.
Yeah.
So if this is who he is. And he'll have his day in court. We have to remember innocent until proven guilty. But they would be right directly in the line of danger. I mean, very easy access, your own child. You obviously have, unlimited access to them. So, I don't know. We'll have to see.
I looking, it's a 2-hour drive down to Manti. The court date is November 30th, and
Yeah.
I'd like to make the trek down if there's an in-person hearing and the weather permits.
I am really hoping that you do, because he's got to be there in person. So,
yeah, so I don't want to take my life into my own hands, though, if the weather's crappy. So I'm going to look into that as soon as the date gets closer.
Repo Guy is saying when he said for her to contact his other victim to help her cope, that said that was not a mistake from a confused child. He knew exactly what he was doing. That was a godlike complex thinking he won. Yeah, Repo Guy, I'm telling you, that part of those emails just kind of blew me away. I just could not believe this guy was suggesting another victim of his help another victim get over what he did to them. That's just crazy.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to go read the emails yet. I'm kind of been processing it. I'll get to it, but
yeah, and Repo Guy is also saying when he said that about her reaching out to the other victims, to me at that point his life and accomplishments meant nothing to me. That statement made it apparent he's a monster. Yeah, I'll agree with you, because when I read that part, Glory, I think when you see these emails, you're gonna be like, wow, whoa. It's a lot to take in. And for people that are former, that are victims of child SA, those emails can be really, really triggering. I'm just gonna let you guys know that. If you've seen them already, fine. If you haven't, but yes, they can be very, very triggering to read.
I have a couple of instances where I was molested as a 6-year-old and again as a 7-year-old. Once, the first time was a neighbor, the second time was a family member, and just two isolated incidences. And so that's one reason I've been kind of reluctant to go take a look at the emails yet. I'm just kind of processing my emotions on this because I'm going,
It hits home. That's why, and it's going to hit home for a lot of people. Again, I kept seeing a lot of comments because I spent the better part of today just kind of looking up a lot of things and reading up and stuff like that. And I seen a lot of people saying, why now? Why now? Why now? And that question kind of drives me crazy.
Because she got sick and tired of him being lauded as a hero and went, hey, I think you guys need to know something about this guy.
Well, yes, and it's more like, people that this has happened to. It takes you a very long time, especially when you're shunned by your family. It takes you a very long time to kind of work up the courage to say, hey, this happened to me. I don't care if you guys hate me anymore. I don't care if you guys shove me out of the family anymore. I'm going to tell the truth about what happened. And it's usually when women get, into their mid 30s, 40s, where they find that courage to finally do that, to finally say what happened to them as children. So
young women, or I guess they're not young women now, but they're to the point point where, they're mothers and they're looking at, they're going to be grandmothers and
Yes.
like, no way, we don't want this happening with future generations. So, we've got to do something. And
Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting when he was saying in those emails, because he was saying in the emails, kind of pretty much alluding to like this was like a whole family thing, like the other cousins, had kind of been involved in this and done this. And, I even seen on the sister's page where she hashtagged like Leisek life. And she's basically calling out two sides of the family, it seems like, with saying like this was just crazy prevalent, in my family, that like this happened to so many of us. But it's very hush hush. And the cousin, I was watching an interview with her earlier, well, yesterday actually, but she was saying that she didn't want to speak out because they had seen what happened to Jessica, which is Jared's sister, and they didn't want to be put in the same position that she was in. Being shunned, being the black sheep, sort of just being like pushed out of the family. And so they kept their mouth shut so that this didn't happen to them. But so for them now to come forward, that's a huge step. It really is.
now, did we know if they're mainstream Mormon or if they were fundamentalists? Because I know that there's a large sect of fundamentalists down in that neck of the woods.
Well, in the interview that I heard the cousin on, she said that she wasn't so much raised Mormon, but she was asked, if Jared was, and she said, well, his father was, and I guess the ties to Mormonism go really deep. So yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like it's necessarily fundamentals because they're a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
They have some really strange ideas and because they have so many wives and they intermarry and so forth, and everybody's related to everybody.
Yeah.
And so, it's not unheard of for somebody to meet or to marry somebody who ends up being a half sibling, even because, they've got this other strange idea in that God will rewrite the DNA so there's not any problem.
I'm just gonna do this. Yeah, there's a lot of really really strange beliefs going on there.
Well, the Manti sect, that's the one my sister got tangled up in for a while, and they have some really strange ideas, and their leader was promising people a personal introduction to Jesus Christ, and donate all of your worldly bits to the church and so forth. And he had somebody who joined, and she became disgruntled, so she decided, she wanted her money back, saying, you failed to perform. You promised me a personal introduction to Jesus Christ, but you didn't perform. And so he said, well, I'm Jesus Christ, And
oh, jeez.
And so, they are into reincarnation. And her first husband that she was married to in that sect, he took a second wife, and they decided that they were her parents in a previous life, and so therefore they couldn't be married to her in this life, and so they handed her over to somebody else to be their wife. And then my sister got out after being involved with that guy, and then he decided that he was really a female. So now instead of Keith, he's now Kimberly.
Oh, okay. That was a lot, Glory. That was a lot. I'm trying to dissect all of that in my head right now.
the prophet decided Jesus is going to come back on a certain day. Of course, he is Jesus, so that's kind of strange.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So they have a guy saying, "Hey, join my sect, pay me some money, and I'm gonna introduce you to Jesus." Surprise! I am actually Jesus.
Yeah, so
Okay.
says Jesus is going to show up on this day, and so they made a big feast, and they all called in sick so that they could meet Jesus.
There's a lot of the belief in the second coming with Mormonism.
And he didn't show up, and so they went, well, it must be tomorrow, and so they called him sick again, and they showed up. They heated up the leftovers, and he still didn't show up. So the prophet said, oh well, Jesus came, but it's in a different time stream, and so at some point in the future we're going to go back in time, and then we'll meet him on the correct day. So we've got time travel and interdimensions and
rewriting of DNA, paying money to meet Jesus Christ. Pretty sure Jesus was an advocate for the poor. Pretty sure. I don't think you need to pay money to meet him. He's not like a celebrity. Like, hey, come on up for autographs here, guys. This is so strange how people get sucked into things like that. But I was talking a little bit about Josh Duggar earlier and how he's of the Christian faith. But again, he committed crimes as a minor, sexual crimes against his sisters. And under their religion, they don't believe in therapy or anything like that. So it was just send him away and make him do a bunch of hard labor for 6 months and he'll be fine. Well, as we know, he was not fine because again, he's in jail for 25 years now, for child pornography. So this continues on. And I just would not be surprised. I cannot stress that enough to see more victims come forth in Jared's case, potentially. WK Chiam, why only disclose now after 30 years? See, we always have one. We always have one. WK, if you're not a victim of sexual assault as a child or anything like that, it's probably going to be a lot more difficult for you to understand why. But number one, it's such a traumatic thing, especially when it happens from a family member. There's a lot of feeling of not wanting to ruin the family, not wanting to tell, not wanting to make these big waves. And as a child, you're kind of confused. Why would this person do this to me? This was my brother. This is my cousin. I love them. I don't understand why they're harming me this way. So it takes a very long time sometimes for people to come to terms with it themselves and then to actually speak it.
The family, are they're all going to go into foster care and so forth. So it's very complex.
It's a very complex thing. There was a woman on Soft White Underbelly. She had been raped by her brothers, and her mother had died, so it was just her father and her and her brothers. And she didn't want to tell. When she finally did, she sort of blurted it out. Her father was very angry with her. Her brothers were arrested. They were taken away, and her father blamed her. It was all her fault for telling. Instead of just shutting her mouth and being quiet, there's a lot of reasons why people do not tell right away. I can tell you that. A lot of reasons. And sometimes even when they do, WK, even when they do as children, they're not believed or they're made to shut up.
Well, in my childhood, my brother and sister, older brother and sister, were left in charge of watching me and my younger brother, and in retrospect, I see that they probably resented being put in that position when they were kids themselves, and yeah, they were too young really to be put in that position of responsibility. And so their solution was, well, let's put them up on top of the roof of the house, and we'll go and do our own thing. And then before Mom gets home, we'll get them down and we'll dolly them up, and nobody will be any the wiser. And of course, I would say, Mom, don't make me stay with them. They do terrible things, and Mom would never take me seriously. So if I'm not being taken seriously about being bullied, being left up on the roof of the house, how much more faith am I going to have that anything that is more serious going to be taken seriously?
Yeah, and then you also have the issue, with parents, they don't know what to do sometimes. You have one kid that's molesting the other. We can sit on the outside and say, oh well, we would definitely do this. We would definitely do something to our child. We would lock them up. We do this. But when it's actually your children, you might get really conflicted. What do I do here? Do I put my kid in jail? What do I do? And a lot of people are not educated on what to do.
You've also got the issue of innocent until proven guilty. Well, my one kid hasn't been proven guilty yet, and so it's wrong to condemn them. But then you've got the other type, which is the victim who needs the support, and so if you're not supporting the one child, then it feels like, from their perspective, that you're taking the side of the other, and they want to see, so they want to be supportive of the offender and try to get them help and so forth. So it's really a terrible position to be in, that you
Yeah.
can't really look after the interests of both children. And
Yeah, well, I mean, just in case anybody, if anybody in this chat or anybody that watches this does have, something like that happening, you absolutely remove the child that is doing that, and intensive therapy is required. You are not going to get around that, and that's the only way that you can save that situation. And then you're gonna have to put the child that was the victim into therapy as well, to help them cope, so that they don't go into adulthood with a ton of problems. And most people do. Renee B is saying, did you see Doug Bishop posted a lame self-centered video? Yes, Renee. I didn't play the video, but I did play the audio, and I watched it earlier in this live stream. So you'll have to go back and watch that. And we kind of talked about that.
was that posted today?
Yes.
Okay,
It was very self-serving, very, very self-serving, but Repo Guy did make some points with that, that Doug did say, basically that he's old school. There is a code, and that code has been violated, aka, where I come from, we don't do this to children, and a line has been crossed here. So he was basically saying, he's not sure on where he's going to go in the future with this, but
well, it's quite something for them to process and come to terms with.
well,
So,
what's confusing, and what we were talking about earlier with that, is that in the emails that with Jared and the cousin, he said he doesn't filter his emails at all, and that everyone in his office knew, they were aware, they had seen these emails. So Doug is saying that this is brand new information to him that he did not know. Conflict there, so not sure. Here's Repo Guy again. He's saying, at Renee B, I don't think Doug was trying to be self-centered. He dropped several hints that he was not cool with Jared's actions, but he's concerned for the good guys in the group. yeah, I agree with you, Repo. I agree with you, but um, you know, I guess I would be concerned for, the other good guys as well, but that the main concern must be the victims, um, or alleged victims, I should say. Um, listening to Doug go on about where he's going to go and what he's going to do, uh, that's for him to figure out. But that's not really kind of what I wanted to hear from him, and I really wanted something more than just hints. I really just wanted a straightforward, I'm not with this. I don't agree with what he has allegedly done, and I'm done with him. That's kind of what I wanted, something straight to the point. But yeah, in my opinion, it sounded a little self-serving. So that's just my opinion. You guys have your opinion.
Well, I'm going to cut them some slack because they're processing this and trying to figure things out. And
Well, Renee is saying here, and I'm going to fully agree with that. She said, it just really bothered me as a 2-year member and supporter to hear him make it about himself and the team. Exactly. And that's kind of, I kept hearing that from him. Me, team. But not, like Repo said, that there was hints of what he was saying, but it just wasn't, it just seemed like it was, his concern was just more about himself and the team and where they were going to go with this, and not so much, you know Jesus, I could have been working side by side with a child essayer.
well, that probably is something that they'll probably be able to come to terms with further down the road. Right now, I think that they're looking at the realities of the organization, trying to figure that out, and then they'll.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could do that behind the scenes. That's for them to figure out behind the scenes. I was appalled today and thought it was completely audacious that AWP releases a new video today without saying a word about the indictments. I mean, sir, you were indicted on 2 different charges of rape of a child, and you have the audacity to release another video without saying a word about that? No.
They need to talk to somebody about public relations.
Yeah, well, I mean, the guys, whoever he gets to edit the videos and stuff, he's certainly got a team there because they make really great videos. But yeah, he definitely needs some kind of public relations guy or something, because that is just not. Repo guy is saying, I think there will be a lot more statements coming from Doug and the rest of the guys from AWP within the next coming weeks that will suffice everyone. I surely hope so, Repo.
I agree. Right now, I think they're just kind of what on earth, where do we go from here? How do we handle this? How do we process the fact that somebody, their leader and colleague is looking really guilty for something really horrible.
Yeah. Tamara is saying, thanks everyone for being here on such an emotional subject. Please know that if this has happened to you, you are not the problem or the one who needs to be ashamed. Thank you, Tamara. On point. Renee is saying, for 2 years, they repeatedly said it was a volunteer group and monies went to equipment, gas, food, and now we find out it's a business. They have salaries, bonuses, employee contracts, NDAs. Yes, Renee, thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to touch on that as well. We have repeatedly been told they volunteer. They don't take reward money, but they take donations, and stuff like that. And now we find out all this stuff. The Sam guy, I guess, left because he wasn't being paid. I think they made merchandise where, they had the Sam guy on there. He was a guy that was an ex-member. They had all their faces on there. And I guess the Sam guy sort of asked for, something like a really small percentage of the proceeds from the merchandise. And I guess him and Jared got into it, allegedly. And this is why he left AWP. So that really speaks of a lot of greed. Renee is saying that Jared just bought a $2 million house. He didn't even have to sell the house he used to live in. That should tell you how much money he's making. Repo guy. Doug also has to be careful what he says because of due process. And I totally think he's guilty. But what if his money gets him off and a jury says he's not guilty? Then what? I think that would be, if he is guilty and he gets off, I think it would be an absolute tragedy. It would be an absolute loss for other victims, and it will discourage other victims from speaking. That's what I think, Repo.
Well, sometimes people get off. It's a sad reality. I don't know that, these days that it is going to prevent somebody else from coming forward. But, I think that, there's less stigma now than there used to be. And, it's like, okay, maybe we didn't win this one, but maybe the next one we will. And,
yeah, no, I still think there's a giant stigma. I mean, like I said, this has happened to me, not to me, but to people close to me, not all that long ago, this year, in fact, and that stigma remains, because the child was shut down, and the family has just sort of moved on like it didn't happen, and it's just it's sad. There's still a lot of people that won't tell their story or afraid to tell their story because of the backlash, because of people not believing them, because of people that were in my chat earlier saying, why now? That's just a common question. And if you have that question, I really suggest that you educate yourself, please, on child SA and why people don't come forward for years and years and years. It's not just because people see dollar signs like, oh, this guy has a lot of money now, I think I'm going to finally tell what he did to me. That's not how it works. And just remember that rape is not about sex. It is about power. Always remember that. So.
And at the time when, the child victim is, I don't want to think about this. I just, let's change the subject as soon as their thought enters the head, and it gets years and years before they're emotionally able to deal with it. So, okay, I can talk about this. And
yes.
I'm not a little kid who is powerless, and I can do something about this now.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if you don't believe me, because I know it's true, and I've got other people around me who love and support me, even though I didn't feel that I had that back then.
It seems, and that's a very good point, Lori. That's exactly it. These people grow up to where they feel like, okay, now I have enough strength. I understand fully what happened to me. How the other people in the family suppressed what happened to me, but I have a voice and I'm going to use it. And there's still, a lot of backlash for that. With Jared Lesik's sister, Jessica. She said on our Facebook page, she said on the interview that I watched with her earlier, that, she's willing to put her life on the line, that she feels her life is in danger. That's a big statement, and it sort of seems like with these emails that it was kind of like an open family secret. That the way Jared was talking about it, it really just seemed like everybody in the family like knows this, and this has been happening and going on. Um, really strange, you know. Uh, oh, I missed this comment. Uh, Renee is saying Sam's lights got disconnected and he couldn't buy groceries. Jared was using Sam's likeness on merch and asked for a percentage. Jared called him greedy. Yes, yes, that is what happened, Renee. Yep. Repo guy. At Tamara. No way. Doug is from a whole different world. This is actually nothing new. When AWP first came out, we found out about the Mormonism, and his cousin has been saying this for years. Yes, I did say that in the beginning of this live stream that these rumors are not new. They're not new. They have been around for quite a while. But I wasn't going to entertain rumors. Now that he's been indicted, I feel like we're in a whole different ball game now. So,
Well, it means there is something to substantiate it rather than just it be hearsay. So
yes, yes. So I feel like we can speak about that now. If I had spoken about this prior, again, it was just rumor. There was nothing else.
well, it's gossip at that point.
Gossip, yes, gossip, rumor. Yep. Now it's legal. So we're gonna talk about it. Tamara, in my opinion, when the grandfather passed away, the hurt of that brought up a lot of pain. Not my only opinion, but one of them. Repo guy. I'm sorry, Tamara. Repo guy. Jared has been rich and broke several times. It's always been about the money for Jared. He's been scamming for years. He started out day trading on the internet, basically insider trading. Yeah, I was reading about that. He has quite, if you guys haven't seen it at YouTube, Glory, he has quite a lengthy bio that he has online where he sort of just like tells his entire life story. There's one part in it where he talks about like going away to different countries, and he was like homeless for a while, and he ate out of garbage cans. Um, and I think this was like in his teen years, like later teen years. I would have to go back and reread it, but it's just kind of, what? Why were you in different countries? Why were you homeless? Why did this happen to you? There isn't really a lot of context behind it. He doesn't really say why, but I was wondering, like, could this have been because of what he did? Did the family know? But I'm going to kind of lean towards probably not, because again, this seems like a really open family secret. So, um, let's see. Renee is saying, yep, Jared was convicted by the feds for SEC violations on pump and dump stock scam. He has a long history of scams. Yeah, I was kind of surprised at his record because he has quite the record, like running from the police, um, all kinds of stuff. Glory, have you seen his record yet?
No, I haven't. This is all a big surprise to me.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, when I seen all of that, I was like, oh wow, there's a lot here, and like I said, there's a woman that I text with, and I fully expect to have a very long, lengthy conversation with her tomorrow. Um, she is not a SA victim of Jared's. She's a victim in another way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she's very ready to talk about this and him as a person and what he has done with a murdered loved one of hers. So yeah, I got a call from Mr. Jim Terry, today.
Oh.
And, you know, the first thing he says to me, of course, is, I told you I was right. So, you know, but I'll say this. Jim did say to me, when I had him on my show, you know, that this wasn't a good guy, blah, blah, and all this kind of stuff, but it's Jim. So you're just like, oh, Jim, you know, quit being a narcissist. And he brought that up. He was like, I tried to tell you, and you called me a narcissist, which I did. Well, I did call him a narcissist. So he had, yeah. Yeah, sometimes they're right. But he had back then on the show sent me a letter from Jed Hall's mom. I still have it, and in that letter, she said to Jim Terry, you know, like you will always be like basically the person that helped with this case the most, and I will never look at them as the heroes. So I didn't fully read it on air. I might at a different time, but what she was saying sort of echoed Kylie Rodney's mom. You know, with they're not our heroes, and we all kept, you know, saying, why is this woman saying this? What they found her daughter? Like, why, you know, why are you saying this? But I guess in the Jed Hall case, Jared allegedly kept trophies from Jed's vehicle, like inside the vehicle, and has not given them back. So, and that's alleged, but that is apparently what Jed Hall's mom has said. So, very, very strange. Let's see. Renee is saying we were all fooled. Mel Mac, that's a fact. We were all fooled. Yeah. You guys, when I started out this live stream, you know, I started out saying I've praised the heck out of AWP. I praised them up and down for finding Kylie. And I'm still glad that they found Kylie. But no, there will be no more praise of that organization until this matter is resolved in whatever way. So I do look forward to the conversation I'm gonna have tomorrow with the woman I was talking about, and yeah, so we'll see how that goes. And she may come on. She may come on the show and talk about this. So we'll see tomorrow. If you guys see me go live tomorrow, I'm probably definitely going to be talking about that conversation, or even have her on talking about that conversation. So if you guys want to tune into that, you're more than welcome to. Glory, I think I'm going to hop off. I'm at an hour and a half now. So
Try to get back to sleep. I need to get my sleep schedule turned around.
You're never going to do it, Glory. You're a glorified night owl. You know that.
My body thinks it's supposed to be in New Zealand. That's when the time is that my body operates.
You're a secret Kiwi?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Well, I will talk to you later.
Okay.
All right,
Good
Glory.
night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Let me just read a couple more comments, and then I am gonna hop off here. Renee is saying, I'm a single mom with one income. And I had paid membership for 2 years because I thought I was helping families. You know, Renee, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of comments just like yours. I really do. Quentin is saying, when adults don't believe a child about SA, the whole justice system gets to turn a blind eye along with the family. Exactly, Quentin. Tamara is saying, most of us want to do good and help others, and even know within ourselves that we have and do. Hero complex is only for the hero. Hey, sweet sativa, how are you, love? Good to see you. You're coming on just as I'm getting off. So you can go ahead and rewatch the stream if you would like. I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow after my conversation with the lady I was talking about. Don't want to say her name yet. Um, we'll talk about this probably later today, later tonight. Maybe I don't know what time. I haven't figured out time yet. But either way, I will see you. I will see you guys hopefully later today, later this evening. So, all right, guys. I will see you later. Have a great day. Bye to everyone, and thank you, Tamara, for being in here.